Hey, yo, I want to talk about... Hey, Scarlett, you know that Beyblade Final Fantasy video I've been working on? Yeah, that's the one. How many times have I pushed the release of that back now? Jeez, okay. You know, there are screenshots in that which prove, yeah, that this video's already been weeks in production. Well, I guess push it back a third time, because today, everyone, we're talking about Universes Beyond. It sucks, and you know it. I've said as much in several of my videos in the past, but I don't think I've put all of my thoughts in one place before. And like I say, I wasn't planning to do that this week either. And then, yeah, WotC made a decision. I don't know that we'll have time to talk about it here, but we'll get to it if we can. It's just reading about the mess WotC have made of that Spider-Man set pushed me to finally get off my chest exactly why Universes Beyond sucks so much. Before that though, I want to quickly touch upon the 5 common rebuttals I hear when someone like me says they don't like Universes Beyond. And I'm going to be fast because honestly covering each of these topics could fill the length of a video on their own. Oh, and I reserve the rights to still do that in the future. But in brief, number 1, but Universes Beyond makes money, or some variation of how it brings in new players. To which I say, yeah, so what? That sounds good for the company, but unless you work there, you are not the company, you are the customer, so be worried about what's good for you. New players is great and all, but you know what else brought in new players? The biggest card game of all time. So wouldn't it be nice if the focus was on making that game great, and not whatever this mess is? Or to put it another way, WotC recently partnered with an online gambling company to make D&D slot machines. I bet that's going to make money and get people technically involved in D&D that wouldn't have been before. Is that good? Would we like that for Magic? Or does that in fact suck? And obviously my point is more nuanced, but in essence, is financial success for the company really the yardstick that we as consumers want to measure with when we consider if something is good for us? I think not. 2. But I like Universes Beyond. Okay, good for you. Honestly, I mean it. Life is tough. Find joy where you can. But for those of you that say this in argument, can we both please be adults and acknowledge that just because you like something doesn't make it good? I have never seen The Vampire Diaries. I have no idea if it deserved that heat. As another example, I like Street Fighter 6. But does that mean that I'm incapable of seeing its flaws? Of course not, because this pricing model of additional microtransactions on top of multiple season passes that each cost the same as what I think should be the price of a full game again sucks. This entire channel is proof that someone can like something and still criticize it when it's bad. 3. But Portal 3 Kingdoms, with the idea being that Universes Beyond style crossovers have always been a part of Magic. Even the creator of the game, Richard Garfield himself, when interviewed by the Prof recently, link in the description, said, and there is this question as to whether Arabian Nights should have been part of the Magic world proper. Okay, seems to give credence to this argument, but then he immediately goes on to say, I think it's part of the world proper, but it was a little bit of work to put in, and it's not exactly clear how it fits in or why it would be there. Well, Dr. Garfield, I can answer that question. As we now know, Magic is a multiverse. You were inspired by the Book of 1001 Nights to create a set, but it was early days, you didn't have a framework within which to work when creating sets this way. Now we do, as evidenced by the since canonization of Rabia. Chinese history became Portal 3 Kingdoms, just like Greek myth became Theros, Germanic Gothic horror became Innistrad, and Celtic folklore became Lorwyn. When he says, there was a little bit of work to put in, it's that adaptation of an idea into a Magic world that he's talking about. Can you see how designers being inspired by a story to create their own spin on something is a little different from corporate owner has acquired rights to marketable IP, so put IP character on a card? There's obviously still work involved, but that work isn't adaptation, it's representation, which often bleeds into advertisation, which Portal 3 Kingdoms definitely was not. 4. Don't yuck people's yum. And you know what, I'm not going to discuss this one at all. I was planning on covering this outlook on the channel in a separate video anyway. Plus it's not an objection solely used against Universes Beyond, and that is what I want this video to be about, so for now all I'll say is that this is not a philosophy I agree with. I'll have to come back to this later. 5. Okay boomer, and old man yells at cloud. And when you comment that, I think, what, is that it? I point out the flaws in something and that's all you have to say? I mean, you clearly wanted to say something, otherwise you wouldn't have said anything at all. If you're trying to communicate that you don't care, then caring enough to leave a comment's not the best way to do that. Do you even know why you said it? Do you have brain rot? Is it just a vague sense of disagreement that defaulted you to using an outdated meme? If you're on autopilot right now and having a bad time listening to me but still choosing to do it anyway, then let me speak to you in a manner you'll understand. Go and touch some grass. Unplug and maybe uninstall any apps that addict you to scrolling. My friend, you're clearly susceptible. Now, that's all the arguments I can think of preempted. Let's talk about why Universes Beyond sucks. And to my mind, there's 7 main reasons. You may not agree with all of them yourself, and maybe you've got more of your own that I haven't thought of here. But if you're on the fence or still adamant that it doesn't suck, which, stop lying to yourself, you know that it does, then hopefully by the time you're finished listening to why people like myself and so many others really don't like Universes Beyond, you'll be able to at least concede some common ground and admit that even if you love it, you can still see that it sucks. 1. There's so much of it. Familiarity breeds contempt, and now half of all Magic is Universes Beyond. When it was first introduced, it was all, The Walking Dead, the world is kind of Magic adjacent, and that said, Universes Beyond cards will not be standard legal. As Blake Rasmussen loves to let us know, my advice is to engage with the parts of Magic that you find fun. Oh yeah, are you going to allow us to do that then? No, you made it legal in all formats. As in, there is no format where you can choose not to engage with it. Magic survived for nearly 30 years off the back of its own IP, and while there will be those that say they don't care about the flavour and purely play for the mechanics, we can disregard those people here because I assume they won't care about Universes Beyond's inclusion either. As long as the game's good, they don't have a dog in this race, or so they say. But many more people were a fan, if not of Magic's narrative and world building, then at least of the tone the flavour of those cards created. People like to be immersed in the world of Magic. Being presented with Spider-Man breaks that immersion. Is the world of SpongeBob and Hatsune Miku still Magic adjacent? And yes, I know those last 2 examples aren't from standard legal sets, but that's a good thing. People could ignore it when it was just these Commander decks or the odd Secret Lair. But now, if you don't like looking at Universes Beyond cards, you have no escape. This product isn't for you, and by this product we now seemingly mean every product. You can't only engage with the parts of Magic you find fun, because every format requires you to engage with your opponent's deck when you play with them. And again, if your argument is that the art doesn't matter, just don't look at your opponent's deck, then I would ask, what is the point of cards having art if not to be shown off? Surely to be looked at is the intention in the first place. And if you don't find looking at Universes Beyond cards fun, tough, because there's now no safe harbour from them. And it's starting to very much feel like the message here is this entire game isn't for you. That's the essence of it. I showed it a moment ago, but this is the thumbnail for my video going over the this product isn't for you mentality more. I'm going to move on for now though, because that argument is used for more than just Universes Beyond, and in this video I want to stick strictly to that topic and why it sucks. And thus, 2. More Universes Beyond actually means less Magic. And this is firstly a result of the previous point. 2025 seen us go from 4 standard legal sets a year to 6, more sets true, but we also went from 4 Magic-themed standard legal sets a year to only 3. As the amount of Universes Beyond increased, the amount of actual Magic decreased. And yes, this only considers standard sets and doesn't factor in full sets that were previously released for other formats. But A, standard is the gateway to the rest of Magic, so really this is where it counts in terms of importance for the game anyway. And B, many of those previous non-standard sets were already non-Magic IP in recent years regardless, so I think the point still stands. But secondly, when I say more Universes Beyond means less Magic, I'm also talking about in terms of quality. I think it's pretty commonly agreed that WotC's design team did a great job with these Doctor Who decks, Fallout decks, and Warhammer decks. While technically not a Universes Beyond, the certainly still non-Magic IP D&D sets were well received. The Lord of the Rings was much celebrated, not to mention other franchise tie-ins, as well as Secret Lairs of course. When it comes to non-Magic IP, WotC's designers seemingly take the appropriate steps during development to knock it out of the park. I suspect in fear of upsetting both the current fanbase and potential new audience for Magic, and the license holders of said non-Magic IP that will now become WotC's business partners and won't be best pleased if they're made to look bad. And while those high-effort products were coming out, what did fans of Magic's IP get? Murders at Karlov Manor? A mishmash of ideas thrown onto Ravnica seemingly at the last minute? Outlaws of Thunder Junction? A mishmash of ideas that even the designers acknowledged didn't land because they couldn't decide on what it was? And Aetherdrift, which I know has its fans, but Mark Rosewater told us out and out about its development. Other factors are really pinching play design, so making a set that's sort of like a little more than play design can handle, while in a normal time maybe they could grab a few extra resources at the point they're at right now, they don't have the extra resources. Do you really think they'd allow that to be a problem when handling Marvel's IP? Can you imagine WotC execs explaining to Disney, yeah, well the backlash and low sales is because we ruined the Avengers set as we didn't put enough effort and time into creating it. Of course not, the deal is too lucrative. I suspect Universes Beyond sets are going to be given everything they need to succeed, even if doing so eats into original Magic. I'll admit currently we still get one banger in-universe set a year, Kamigawa, Bloomburrow and Tarkir are all up there as examples, but with more and more Universes Beyond sets introduced each year, how many more corners can we cut before that's no longer the case? How much more Universes Beyond can this game actually support? 3. Universes Beyond robs the community of a chance at creativity. This, I'll admit, won't affect as many people, but I still think it's a big deal, because the gathering part of Magic the Gathering is very important. It's a social game. Magic's 5-colour system allows for people to self-identify with certain aspects of the world, and then reflect that in their creative deck building. Some people like angels, some people like demons. Neither are a correct or incorrect choice, so whether you choose to play one is down to preference. Even within the same colour, some people like goblins, some people like devils. They fill basically the same niche in deck construction as low-cost chaotic red boys. But again, if you have a preference, you can choose to run only one and not have that choice be any more correct or less correct than running the other. And that kind of decision making means when it comes to the gathering part, you have something to talk about. A style of gameplay, favoured mechanic, and something that's unique to you. That's why I'm not a fan of generically good auto-include cards. They're impersonal, everyone runs one, and I find that boring. It's why I also think when Commander went from how do I build this janky deck to oh that's how, Wizard just printed a commander specifically for it, the format got less interesting. Because half the fun is leaving it up to us as players to figure out. And I think that same vibe applies to how other IPs could be represented in game too. Because I actually have no problem with non-Magic IP characters appearing on Magic cards, if they're community made. You want to do fan art or proxy up your favourite character as a Magic card, then I am in full support of that. I'd play against it and I'd enjoy hearing why you made the choices you did when you made them. It's only when a corporation gets involved and makes it official that I draw the line. Because when someone like me says, I wonder what the classes from Pathfinder would look like as class cards, or I wonder how the factions of Star Trek would fit into a 10 2-colour pair set, or I wonder what the X-Men would look like if they were to be printed as Magic cards, it's because we enjoy the creative thought exercise. I don't actually want to know, and just having a megacorp like Hasbro provide the answers for me makes me say, oh, that's how. And then the conversation is over, because now we know for sure. That interesting question of what would X look like as a Magic card and that element of creativity is removed, and as a creative type, I feel robbed, and I think that sucks. Again, I don't know which one of these characters is the vampire, maybe it's all of them. Speaking of being creative, hey, come check out my Patreon. The chances of me having to quit making videos grows with each release, so I really need the support to keep going. There are many tiers, but even just signing up at the lowest one will make a huge difference. If you can afford it, there are higher tiers which also come with some fun rewards, like access to our weekly community poll, where I'll almost certainly be talking about Vampire Diaries this week, but more importantly, I'll be able to keep bringing you videos like this one. So maybe get your name in the credits and help me pay rent. Link to my Patreon in the description below. Thank you. 4. The worlds aren't built for Magic. As in, Universes Beyond just doesn't fit within the game system, something has to give. I talked about this a bit in my video entitled It Don't Look Good, ever the wordsmith. But I made a point again of saying there how Magic is a 5-colour system, the entire game revolves around it, meaning you'll never see a new release that just doesn't have red in it, for instance, because not printing any red cards in a set at this point would be madness. However, just as I talked about with Richard Garfield and what inspires a set earlier, it should be apparent that Magic's flavour and mechanics are intrinsically linked, with the direction of which one informing the other changing from set to set. Red, over Magic's history, has come to represent certain things, which means if red cards have to be included in each set, then the flavour of each set needs to reflect their inclusion somehow, whether that be via clans, guilds, or just monocolour creatures. With that last one being a perfect example again. Innistrad has devils because Innistrad needed a red creature and goblins didn't fit. Thus, rather than just not worrying about it or not including red in the set at all, which from an outside perspective may appear as the immediate solution, WotC instead opted to add elements to Innistrad's world that would allow for the existence of devils. Because the world building and the mechanics all have to revolve around that 5-colour system. In that previous video I argued that Spider-Man does not fit into that system. It's a 2-colour world of good guys and bad guys. And what do you know? Look at the cards that have been revealed. Spider-Man has white in him because he's a good guy, and all of the villains have black in them because they're bad guys. Now, putting the obvious racial implications of that to one side for a moment, which is another video again I'm sure, I want to ask, where is the room for mono red, blue and green here? Is every card in the set going to have either white or black in it? Are all of the mono green cards just going to be Spider-Man's background characters? Like, is anyone really going to want to build a deck like that? Or will it be Spider-Man that has to change and become mono green? Now maybe you have that outside perspective that I mentioned and these issues are not something that you've thought to care about. Image on screen unrelated, I'm sure. But it seems to me that for Universes Beyond to fit within this 5-colour system, either this system needs to break, or the world they're trying to fit into it does. 5. Universes Within is confusing. That's it. I'm glad it exists, because I like Magic's world and want to see more characters from it. But 2 names for each card? And formats still limit the combined amount of how many of them you can run in a deck? No, that's overly complicated. It's extra mental load that makes the game worse, and I imagine more off-putting for new players. Like, do you remember what the in-universe version of this card is called? No? What about this one? No? Or this one? Hard to keep track, isn't it? Well, it was the Howling Abomination, Durin leading the charge, and nothing because they didn't make one. Confusing, isn't it? What a headache. But like I say, I'm glad Universes Within exists because I would rather not have mechanically unique cards kept exclusive to Universes Beyond, which I don't like, I don't think are fun, and I don't want to engage with. However, 2 copies of each card as a solution still sucks all the same. And you may say, well, isn't that an issue with Universes Within, not Universes Beyond? And to that I would say, in general, 6. Reprints are a problem. Because no, this is an issue caused by Universes Beyond coming first. I never complained about the Godzilla cards, and those were optional reskins of Ikoria cards. I didn't like them, but I could choose not to engage with them exactly as Wizards suggests. However, doing it the other way around, which is what Universes Within fundamentally is as Universes Beyond come first, well that creates issues. I suspect I'll go over this more when I discuss the announcement that spurred me to actually make this video, but for now, let me ask you, remember how the One Ring was dominating formats before it got banned? Well, what if it gets unbanned in the future? Or another non-Magic IP card comes out that's good but not good enough to get banned and start seeing regular play for years to come? Can WotC just reprint it? Do they have the legal license to do that? Or have we just created another pseudo-reserve list? Do you think we're ever going to see Universes Within versions of Synths, Tyranids and Time Lords? Can WotC legally do that? Or to do it, will they need to errata the cards? And to do that, will Daleks suddenly just become aliens to protect Doctor Who's intellectual property rights? Can WotC even legally do that? And might that diminish the originals if they do? Well, these questions were somewhat answered in that post, and it seems reprints aren't fully possible, as in digital we're only getting Universes Within versions of the Marvel sets, proving I feel that WotC is restricted by legal license, which would imply that no, they can't just do what they want or what they need when it comes to creating new copies of these cards outside their initial print run. I think that's going to cause problems, and I think that sucks. And finally, number 7, it's cringe. And yes, I agree, use of the word cringe is itself cringe. But that's what it is. Magic's hardly ever been for the cool kids, but I was never embarrassed by it before. When I think Magic, I think Mirrodin's body horror. I think Innistrad's gothic horror. I think of Zendikar's eldritch horror. Okay, I think about horror a lot when I think about Magic. Like, look at this. What's going on there? What the hell even is that thing? Gross. Okay, I take it back. Magic was for the cool kids. This game rocks. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah. But that opinion dies at the hands of Universes Beyond. Because having to say to someone, no, it's not all Frodo, Iron Man and SpongeBob is just embarrassing. Magic's now got this reputation as a Fortnite-style crossover, and there's only one word for it. It's cringe. Look at the reasons I've listed here, because I'm willing to bet that you agree with at least one of them. So regardless of whether you like it or not, you have to admit, Universes Beyond sucks, and you know it. Hey Scarlet, what's the announcement? Yeah, that's the one. I said I'd talk about it if I could. What's our runtime? Ooh, Jesus, okay. Well, that's not happening today then. Okay. Guess I'll do that next week. And let's just hope there's no more breaking news, because the week after is our monthly quiz. And then maybe, after that, I'll finally get time to post that Beyblade video. I know Beyblade's not in the thumbnail, that's part of the opening joke. It's a comparison between that franchise and Magic, and I swear it's really interesting. There's so many parallels, it's just... come back in like 3 weeks, I guess I'll show you then. Thank you very much for watching this video, and thank you to everyone that supports me, like Eggboy the particle that permeates all existence, Wanpako Jozu, Miss Murder, a random Patreon, and the rest of my patrons whose names are on screen. Now, just a quick insert here to say that this is post-edit Red, who's recording an extra bit to slip in, I guess, in the credits. When I was putting this video together, I realised I wanted examples of fan art, and so I reached out to Ben Allen Inks, who, if you just Google his name, like the top 5 results are all him. He's got Instagram, Etsy, YouTube, TikTok, Threads. And I contacted him because he makes custom proxy art cards, Magic tokens already, as well as additional work as well, because I've seen some of his commissions. And I asked him if I could use some of his Magic cards, and then ended up using none of them, and instead took his character art and put it into the frames of Magic cards. As far as I'm aware, every art piece that I used in this video of his is available for commission, if you are so inclined to buy something. So, oh, and he also asked me to say that he's going to be at London MCM in May. So if you want to check out more of his stuff, please go and do that. And a big thank you again to Ben Allen Inks. I'd also like to thank the sponsor for this video, me and my Patreon page, where you can get your name credited on screen too. Check it out in the link in the description below. Hit the like button, leave a comment, install an ad block, and most importantly, let it rip. Subscribe and share this video with a friend. Guys, wrong video. I need to save that for the Blade video. Goddamn. Install an ad block, and most importantly, subscribe and share this video with a friend. Hit the notification bell and do all those things the algorithm loves. If you agree or disagree with any of my points, or you want to see me do a video on another subject, I guess apart from Vampire Diaries, I don't know anything about it, let me know and I will see you next time. Can you imagine WotC execs explaining to Disney?
Yeah, well, the backlash and low sales is because we ruined the Avengers set as we didn't put enough effort and time into creating it.
That was not an impression of anyone in particular.